Cantos 31 to 33 of Book 3 of the Ramayana of Valmiki, translated by Ralph D. H. Griffith. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Om123. Canto 31, Ravan. But of the host of giants, one, accompaned from the field, had run, and sped to Lanka to relate in Ravan's ear the demon's fate. King, many a giant from the shade of Janastan in death is laid. Khara the chief is slain, and I could scarcely from the battle fly. Fierce anger, as the monarch heard, inflamed his look, his bosom stirred, and while with scorching glance he eyed the messenger, he thus replied: What fool has dared, already dead, strike Janastan, the general dread? Who is the wretch shall vainly try, in aught heaven, hell, from me to fly? Vaishravan, Indra, Vishnu, he who rules the dead, must reverence me. For not the mightiest lord of these can brave my will and live at ease. Fate finds in me a mightier fate, to burn the fires that devastate. With unresisted influence I can force even Death himself to die. With all surpassing might restrain the fury of the hurricane, and burn in my tremendous ire the glory of the sun and fire. As does the fiend's hot fury blazed, his trembling hands a compass raised, and with a voice which fear made weak, permission craved his tale to speak. King Ravan gave the leave he sought, and bade him tell the news he brought. His courage rose, his voice grew bold, and thus his mournful tale he told. A prince with mighty shoulders sprung from Dasaratha, brave and young, with arms well moulded, bears the name of Rama, with a lion's frame. Renowned, successful, dark of limb, art has no warrior equals him. He fought in Janastan and slew Dushan the fierce, and Khara too. Ravan, the giant's royal chief, received Akampan's tale of grief. Then, panting like an angry snake, these words in turn the monarch spake: Say quick, did Rama seek the shade of Janastan with Indra's aid, and all the dwellers in the skies, to back his hardy enterprise? Akampan heard, and straight obeyed his master, and his answer made. Then thus the power and might he told of Raghu's son, the lofty-souled. Best is that chief of all who know with deftest art to draw the bow. His are strange arms of heavenly might, and none can match him in the fight. His brother Lakshman, brave as he, fair as the rounded moon to see, with eyes like night and voice that comes deep as the roll of beaten drums, by Rama's side stands ever near, like wind that aids the flame's carrier. That glorious chief, the prince of kings, of Janastan this ruin brings. No gods were there, dismiss the thought, no heavenly legions came and fought. His swift-winged arrows Rama sent, each bright with gold and ornament. To serpents many-faced they taunt, the giant hosts they ate and burned. Wherever these fled in wild dismay, Rama was there to strike and slay. By him, O king of high estate, is Janastan left desolate. Akampan ceased. In angry pride, the giant monarch thus replied: To Janastan myself will go, and lay these daring brothers low. Thus spoke the king in furious mood. Akampan then his speech renewed: O listen, while I tell at length the terror of the hero's strength. No power can check, no might can tame Rama, a chief of noblest fame. He with resistless shafts can stay the torrent foaming on its way. Sky, stars, and constellations all to his fierce might would yield and fall. His power could art itself uphold, down sinking as it sank of old, or all its plains and cities drown, breaking the wild sea's barrier down. Crush the great deep's impetuous will, or bid the furious wind be still. He glorious in his high estate, the triple world could devastate, and there, supreme of man, could place his creatures of a new-born race. Never can mighty Rama be overcome in fight, my king, by thee. Thy giant host the day might win from him if heaven were gained by sin. If gods were joined with demons, they could never, I win, that hero slay. But guile may kill the wondrous man. Attend while I disclose the plan. His wife, above all women graced, is Sita of the dainty waist, with limbs to fair proportion true, and a soft skin of lustrous hue. Round neck and arm rich gems are twined. She is the gem of womankind. With her no bright Gandharvi vies, no nymph or goddess in disguise, and none to rival her would dare, mid dames who part the long black hair. That hero in the wood beguile, and steal his lovely spouse the while. Reft of his darling wife, be sure, brief days the mourner will endure. With flattering hope of triumph moved, the giant king that plan approved, pondered the counsel in his breast, and then accompanied thus addressed. Forth in my car I go at morn, none but the driver with me borne, and this fair Sita will I bring back to my city triumphing. Forth in his car by asses drawn, the giant monarch sped at dawn. Bright as the sun, the chariot cast light through the sky as on it passed. Then high in air that best of cars traversed the path of lunar stars, sending a fitful radiance pale as moonbeam shot through cloudy veil. Far on his airy way he flew, near Tarakea's grove he drew. Maricha welcomed him and placed before him food which giants taste. With honor led him to a seat, and brought him water for his feet, and then with timely words addressed such question to his royal guest. Speak, is it well with thee whose sway the giant multitudes obey? I know not all, and ask in fear the cause, O king, why thou art here. Ravan, the giant's mighty king, heard wise Maricha's questioning, and told with ready answer, taught in eloquence the cause he sought. My gods, the bravest of my band, are slain by Rama's vigorous hand, and Janastan that feared no hate of foes is rendered desolate. Come, aid me in the plan I lay, to steal the conqueror's wife away. Maricha heard the king's request, and thus the giant chief addressed. What foe in friendly guise is he, who spoke of Sita's name to thee? Who is the wretch whose thought would bring destruction on the giant's king? Whose is the evil counsel, say, that bids thee bear his wife away, and careless of thy life provoke art's loftiest with threatening stroke? A foe is he who dared suggest this hopeless folly to thy breast, whose ill advice would bid thee draw the venomed fang from serpent's jaw. By whose unwise suggestion led, wilt thou the path of ruin tread? Whence falls the blow that would destroy thy gentle sleep of ease and joy? Like some wild elephant is he that rears his trunk on high, lord of ancient pedigree, whose tusks and furious eye. Ravan, thou rover of the night, with bravest heart can brook, met in the front of deadly fight, on Raghu's son to look. The giant hosts were brave and strong, good at the bow and spear, but Rama slew the rooted throng, a lion mid the deer. No lion's tooth can match his sword, or arrows fiercely shot. He sleeps, the lion lord, be wise and rouse him not. O monarch of the giants, well upon my counsel think, lest thou forever in the hell of Rama's vengeance sink. A hell where deadly shafts are sent from his tremendous bow, while his great arms all flight prevent, like deepest mire below. Where the wild floods of battle rave above the foeman's head, and each with many a fiery wave of shafts is garlanded. Oh, quench the flames that in thy breast with raging fury burn, and pacified and self-possessed to Lanka's town return. Rest thou in her imperial bowers, with thine own wife's content, and in the wood let Rama's hours with Sita still be spent. The lord of Lanka's isle obeyed the counsel, and his purpose stayed. Borne in his car he parted thence, and gained his royal residence. Canto 32. Ravan Roost. But Surpnakha saw the plain spread with 14,000 slain, doers of cruel deeds overthrown by Rama's mighty arm alone. At Trishiras and Dushan dead, and Kara with the hosts they led. Their death she saw, and mad with pain, roared like a cloud that brings the rain, and fled in anger and dismay to Lanka, seat of Ravan's sway. There on a throne of royal state, exalted sat the potentate, begot with counsellor and peer, like Indra with the storm gods near. Bright as the sun's full splendour shone, the glorious throne he sat upon, as when the blazing fire is red upon a golden altar fed. Wide gaped his mouth at every breath, tremendous as the jaws of death. With him high saints of lofty thought, Gandharvas, gods, had vainly fought. The wounds were on his body yet, from wars where gods and demons met, and scars still marked his ample chest, by fierce Airavats tusk impressed. A score of arms, 10 necks had he, his royal gear was brave to see. His massive form displayed each sign that marks the heir of kingly line. In stature like a mountain height, his arms were strong, his teeth were wide, and all his frame of massive mould seemed ledulite adorned with gold. 100 seams impressed each limb, where Vishnu's arm had wounded him, and chest and shoulder bore the print of sword and spear and arrow dint, where every god had struck a blow in battle with the giant foe. His might to wildest rage could wake the sea, whose fate naught else can shake, hurl towering mountains to the earth, and crush even foes of heavenly birth. The bonds of law and right he spurned, to others' wives his fancy turned. Celestial arms he used in fight, and loved to mar each holy rite. He went to Bhagavati's town, where Basuki was beaten down, and stole, victorious in the strife, Lord Takshak's beloved wife. Kailas's lofty crest he sought, and when in vain Kuvera fought, stole Pushpak thence the car that drew the air as will the master flew. Impelled by furious anger he spoiled Nandan's shade and Nalini, and Chaitrarat's heavenly grove, the haunts where gods delight to rove. Tall as a hill that cleaves the sky, he raised his mighty arms on high, to check the blessed moon and stay the rising of the Lord of Day. 10,000 years the giant spent on dire austerities intent, and of his heads an offering laid before the self-existent maid. No god or fiend his life could take, Gandharva, goblin, bird or snake, safe from all fears of death, except from human arm that life was kept. Oft when the priests began to raise their consecrating hymns of praise. He spoiled the so much sacred juice, poured forth by them in solemn use. The sacrifice his hands overdrew, and cruelly the Brahmans slew. His was a heart that naught could melt, joying in wars which others felt. She saw the ruthless monster there, dread of the walls, unused to spare. In robes of heavenly texture dressed, celestial wreaths adorned his breast. He set a shape of terror like destruction ere the walls it strike. She saw him in his pride of place, the joy of old Pulastia's race. Begot by counsellor and peer, Ravan, the foeman's mortal fear, and terror in her features shown, the giantess approached the throne. Then Surpnakha bearing yet each deeply printed trace, where the great-hearted chief had set a mark upon her face. Impelled by terror and desire, still fierce, no longer bold, to Ravan of the eyes of fire, her tale infuriate told. Canto 33. Surpnakha's speech. Burning with anger in the ring of counsellors who guard their king, to Ravan, ravener of man, with bitter words she thus began. Wilt thou absorbed in pleasure still, pursue unchecked thy selfish will, nor turn thy heedless eyes to see the coming fate which threatens thee? The king who days and hours employs in base pursuit of vulgar joys must in his people's sight be vile as fire that smokes on funeral pile. He who, when duty calls him, spares no time for thought of royal cares, must with his realm and people all involved in fatal ruin fall. As elephants in terror shrink from the false river's miry brink, thus subjects from a monarch flee, whose face their eyes may seldom see, who spends the hours for toil ordained in evil courses unrestrained. He who neglects to guard and hold his kingdom by himself controlled, sinks nameless like a hill whose head is buried in the ocean's bed. Thy foes are calm and strong and wise, friends, gods, and warriors of the skies. How, heedless, wicked, weak, and vain, wilt thou thy kingly state maintain? Thou, lord of giants, void of sense, slave of each changing influence, heedless of all that makes a king, destruction on thy head wilt bring. O conquering chief, the prince who boasts of treasury and rule and hosts, by others led, though lord of all, is meaner than the lowest thrall. For this a monarch said to be, long-sighted, having power to see things far away by faithful eyes of messengers and loyal spies. But aid from such thou wilt not seek, thy counsellors are blind and weak, or thou from these hadst surely known thy legions and thy realm overthrown. Now twice 7,000, fierce in might, are slain by Rama in the fight, and they, the giant host who led Khara and Dushan, both are dead. Now Rama with his conquering arm has freed the saints from dread of harm, has smitten Janastan and made asylum safe in Dandak's shade. Enslaved and dull, of blinded sight, intoxicate with vain delight, thou closest still thy heedless eyes to dangers in thy realm that rise. A king besotted, mean, unkind, of niggard hand and slavish mind, will find no faithful followers heed their master in his hour of need. The friend on whom he most relies, in danger from a monarch flies. Imperious in his high estate, considered proud and passionate, who never to state affairs attends, with wholesome fear when war impends. Most weak and worthless as the grass, soon from his sway the realm will pass. For rotting wood a use is found, for clods and dust that strew the ground, But when a king has lost his sway, useless he falls and sinks for aye. As raiment by another worn, as faded garland crushed and torn, so is unthroned the proudest king, though mighty once a useless thing. But he who every sense subdues, and each event observant views, rewards the good and keeps from wrong, shall reign secure and flourish long. Though lulled in sleep his senses lie, he watches with a ruler's eye, untouched by favor, ire, and hate, and him the people celebrate. O weak of mind, without a trace of virtues that a king should grace, who has not learned from watchful spy that low in death the giants lie. Scorn of others, but enchained by every base desire, by thee its duty is disdained, which time and place require. Soon wilt thou, if thou canst not learn, ere yet it be too late, the good from evil to discern, fall from thy high estate. As thus she ceased not to upbraid the king with cutting speech, and every fault to view displayed, naming and marking each. The monarch of the sons of night, of wealth and power possessed, and proud his imperial might long pondered in his breast. End of Cantos 31, 32, and 33.